Hey everybody, this is John from Purple Sorcerer Games, and I thought I would give a quick update about what I've been doing on the tools front. As many of you know, I've had some health issues which have kind of continued to come and go and can make things a little bit challenging, but I have been busily working on something for quite a while now. Um, I've discussed in the past how the Crawler's Companion is dependent on a tool which was originally Adobe Flash. Now they call it Animate. That's what I used when I originally created the Crawler's Companion back in, what was it, 2011, 2012? When it was first constructed. And at the time, it really was the best choice for me. It was a tool that I knew how to use. It was cross-platform, that I could create both for iOS and Android at the same time. And I actually really enjoy working in it, and so it was a great choice. Over the years, I've at times where Adobe and especially Apple have kind of fallen in and out with each other. There has been fear about, wow, if they stop supporting this tool, then I'm kind of screwed. I mean, and they've continued to develop the product, which is great. They eventually added the ability for me to, to create desktop versions for both Mac and PC. And so from one single source of code, I'm able to produce all these versions, which is really awesome. But that's always been a fear at the back of my mind about that someday they would stop supporting it, and then basically the crawler would end. And there's still thousands and thousands of you out there that rely on the Crawler's Companion. So that was always a niggling concern. There was also the huge issue of, I don't think it's any secret how deeply I loathe posting things to the app stores. Apple iOS has always been a nightmare. That continually is a struggle, and I hate it. But now with places like the Google Play Store, which has always been very, very easy because of security concerns and things like that, they're also kind of increasing some of the things you have to jump through. I don't think there's a problem with that from their perspective, because I think these things are needed, but it does make it so that it's just an additional hassle. I currently, for the Crawler's Companion, I publish to 8 different versions in app stores to try to make it as available to everyone as possible. From classic versions that are hosted on my website to multiple app stores on the Android side and the iOS on the Apple side. So when I do have a new version of the Crawler's Companion, it is a tremendous amount of work and often a huge amount of hassle, because I'm not publishing. I don't do this all the time, so I'm not publishing, so I'm always on top of it. So every time I come back to it, it's almost like experiencing it all new again. And it literally can take days of hassle trying to work out whatever changes Apple has made that you don't have the right icons included with you. I mean, it's crazy. If you've ever done it, you know exactly what I mean. So, a while back, during one of the fundraisers, I decided that I would create a version of the Crawler's Companion for Mutant Crawl Classics, which I think is a fantastic idea. But as I got working on that, it really became abundantly clear, that if I'm publishing 8 versions of the Crawler's Companion and I add in Mutant Crawl Classics, now I'm suddenly looking at essentially 16 different versions when I have updates to these programs. And it just became, with my health issues, that just wasn't going to happen. And so I began the process of looking at, HTML5 and JavaScript and CSS have really advanced over the years. Is there the possibility that I would be able to recreate the Crawler's Companion as just essentially a web page? And over the past year, that's what I've been working on. I've probably put in between 250 and 300 hours on this conversion process, because of course every single line of code had to be recreated. Also, every single graphic had to be recreated in different formats to be able to support on the website. All of the graphics are SVGs, and there's some real real tricky issues of getting that to work properly. Someday I'm going to probably write a big article about all the issues that individually had to be conquered, because it's been an amazing journey figuring out how to do this. But at this point, I am about 90% of the way complete, and the Crawler's Companion, this is just a web page like any other web page. So it will automatically detect, what size of your device, and it will adjust itself accordingly. It will do the conversion between portrait and landscape on the fly. It's pretty darn good. There are some niggling bugs that I'm continuing to work out. As you'll notice, there's a menu bar across the top. In both iOS and Android, you're able to save to the desktop, and then it should launch without the bar, so it looks exactly like what the app that you would expect if you'd gotten it from the App Store. But there's some bugs that it's not quite working right. So there's things like that. This last 10% of working out all of these bugs to get this to work, and in particular, I'm working on the the data sharing stuff so that you can share data with other copies of the Crawler's Companion. I've had to completely rewrite that system, and so you might be wondering, well, what about the old App Store versions? Well, basically nothing's going to happen to the old App Store versions. As I said, my greatest concern would be that the crawler, the old versions, no longer work in the app stores, and so this was one of the primary reasons for this, was to just have a backup, so that in case something was to happen, so I wasn't able to publish from Adobe Animate, that there would still be this web version. I do need to make one final big update on all of the App Store versions, so that it will use the same data sharing server that is using in the new web version. But once that update is done, then that version should sit for as long as it's going to continue working. If there's a small update that's needed, like they make some crazy change that breaks the app, then I'm able to make an easy fix and re-upload to the app stores, I will do that. But especially for that version and the Android versions, which are hosted on my site that you can download, you should be able to download those forever. So the old version should interact with this new version, and so, you'll be good to go forever. The huge advantage, of course, of having this web version is that if I want to make an update to the Crawler's Companion, I pull out my text editor and I make an update to the file and I post it to my server. That's all I have to do to make changes or to add new features. It makes it so that I'm able, all of this work has been done using a code editor on my iPad. All of the graphics have been created in apps on my iPad. And for those that are kind of new to the situation, one of the issues I have is I have extensive nerve damage in my hands. And working on my iPad is just so much easier on me. It's difficult to describe it. Using a mouse on the PC and that standard process is just hard. I avoid it whenever possible. So I'm able to do this stuff on my iPad. So it will mean that we will have more updates to the Crawler's Companion, because it just involves, if I need a test version, I create a folder on my server called crawler_test, put the new versions in, say, everybody check it out, try the test versions. If I need to create a classic version to maintain compatibility with old versions, I create a folder on my server called Crawler Classic, dump the files in there, and I'm done. It is so much easier for me. So it really streamline my workload. Right now I have it so that all of these tools in the tools category, they're just basically pulling these from my server. So it makes it so I'm not doubling up work. It makes it really, really easy for me to integrate. So when I create that really cool new monster generator, it'll actually be really simple to integrate a lot of its functionality into the Crawler's Companion web version, which will be really, really cool. So this is the new version. Probably in the next month or two, I will be opening up to everybody to just, because you can use it, play around with it, have fun with it. Eventually, it will be the main focus. All the new features will be coming on here as that rolls out. Right now, I'm still just figuring out the bugs, because, this was doing this HTML5 JavaScript stuff. It was largely new to me. So it's been a real learning process, and so I'm still refining things and tightening things up and having to learn about how to use all the new JavaScript tools, all those kind of things. But I think it's really, really funky. I think it really means that it makes it so that the Crawler's Companion is going to be here is basically as long as I'm here, and it will be continuing to have new features, and it opens up the doorway for me to really get serious about the Mutant Crawl Classic version. And there's a chance, just the way this works, there's a chance it might just be an option inside the options screen to say, hey, I want this to show the Mutant Crawl Classic stuff, and then boom, it'll automatically load the correct graphics and information, and it'll all be within inside one app. So, seamless, interaction between the two. I think it's going to be really, really cool. But, so that's what I have been working on for the last year, hundreds of hours into this, and I'm pretty happy with how it's looking. Once I'm done with this, it'll open it up. I'll be able to do a lot of the other cool things that I desire to do to add to the cool tools that we already have. I so appreciate everyone's support. Everyone has been amazing to provide the hardware and the software and the server, so all these things are able to run so smoothly. We currently have 3 different servers that give us a good sense of backup and control, and it's all paid for by you guys. So thanks so much, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful time gaming. Take care.